They noticed, didn't they? You walk into the room and something is different. You sit at the table and something is different. You open your mouth and something is different, and they cannot figure it out, but they can feel it. And that feeling, it bothers them. It unsettles them because you used to be predictable. You used to be available. You used to shrink just enough to make everyone around you feel comfortable. And now you don't. Now you walk in like you already know something they don't. And that changes everything. You changed, and the world is pissed about it. Before you skip ahead, I need 60 seconds with you. This channel has been demonetized. That means every video you have ever watched here, every word that has ever hit you right in the chest, was made without a single dollar of support behind it. Just passion, just purpose, just us refusing to quit on you. And we are still here, still going, still creating like our lives depend on it. Because for some of you, maybe yours did. If that is true for you, if something here has ever genuinely changed something in you, please hit super thanks in the description. Give what you can. Even the smallest amount sends the loudest message. Let's back, because this is important. Not everyone who gets upset at your growth is your enemy. Some of them genuinely don't know what to do with the new version of you. They built a relationship with who you used to be. The one who always said yes. The one who always showed up desperate. The one who always explained themselves. The one who always needed validation to move forward. That version was comfortable for them. That version was manageable. That version asked permission. And now you don't. Now you move in silence. Now you don't explain. Now you don't justify. And for people who were used to having access to all of you, that silence reads like rejection. That stillness reads like arrogance. That confidence reads like you think you're better than them. Nah, you don't think you're better than anyone. You just finally stopped thinking you were less. And that is what they cannot handle. Think about what it took to get here. Think about what had to happen inside you. The nights you sat in the dark and had conversations with yourself that no one else will ever hear. The moments you made decisions that no one clapped for. The days you chose discipline over comfort when comfort was the only thing that felt real. The season you went quiet, not because you gave up, but because you were finally serious. The world doesn't see that part. The world only sees the result. And sometimes the result looks like coldness when it's actually clarity. Sometimes the result looks like distance when it's actually direction. Sometimes the result looks like ego when it's actually earned peace. You know the difference. And that's enough. But let's be honest about something. Because this script isn't here to flatter you. It's here to tell you the truth. And the truth is, the journey that brought you here wasn't clean. It wasn't linear. It wasn't pretty. There were moments you were not proud of. Decisions that didn't look like growth. Times you fell back into old habits and told yourself it didn't count. Times you performed strength when you were actually unraveling. Times you wore confidence like a costume because the real thing hadn't fully arrived yet. You know what those moments were? You carried them. And in a strange way, those were the most important ones, because that's where the real work happened. Not in the highlight moments, not in the breakthroughs, in the quiet, unglamorous, embarrassing middle where you were still becoming what you are now. The middle is where most people quit. You didn't, and now you're standing on the other side of something, and you can feel it. You can feel that the version of you that used to beg for attention is gone. The version that used to rehearse conversations in your head hoping someone would finally understand you, gone. The version that used to apologize for taking up space, gone. Not perfectly, not all the time, but enough. Enough that the people around you can see it even when you can't. Enough that the rooms you walk into shift slightly when you enter. Enough that something in you has settled, like a house that finally found its foundation after years of shifting ground. Well, well, well. Look at what the silence built. Here's what happened when no one was watching. And I need you to hear this clearly. When you stopped performing for the crowd, you started building for yourself. When you stopped chasing approval, you started developing standards. When you stopped explaining your vision to people who were never going to invest in it, you started investing in it yourself. You took that energy, all that energy you used to pour into convincing people, into proving yourself, into making yourself small enough to fit into spaces that were never designed for you, and you redirected it inward, upward, forward, and that redirect is the whole story. That is the entire transformation right there. Because growth doesn't happen in the places where everyone can see you. Growth happens in the places where you're alone with your decisions. At 5 in the morning, when no one is watching and you still do the work. In the conversation where someone tries to pull you back into an old dynamic, and something in you says no, quietly, calmly, without drama. In the moment you recognize a pattern you used to fall for and you choose differently this time, not perfectly, not without fear, but differently. That difference, compound interest. Every single time you choose the new version over the old one, the gap between who you were and who you are becoming gets wider. And one day, maybe today, you look back and you cannot even recognize the person you used to be. Ha 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 ha. And they think this happened overnight. They think you woke up one day and decided to be unbothered. They think the calm you carry is carelessness. They think the Idgaf energy is just a phase, a mood, something that will pass once life gets hard again. They're waiting for it to crack. They're watching for the moment you fold back into who you were, because that would be easier for them. That would restore the old order. That would mean they don't have to change anything about how they see you or themselves. But it's not a phase. You know it's not a phase. This is what earned indifference looks like. Not the lazy kind, not the kind that avoids responsibility, the earned kind. The kind that only comes after you've cared too much, for too long, about things and people that never held your growth as a priority. You've been through enough cycles to know what caring without boundaries costs you. You've paid enough tabs for other people's comfort that your account ran dry, and you had to come back and rebuild from almost nothing. That experience doesn't make you cold, it makes you discerning. It makes you quiet about your energy. It makes you strategic about where you invest your presence. And that, to people who've never had to earn back their own self-respect, looks like arrogance. No, no, no. It's not arrogance. It's the receipt. It's what real accounting looks like. And now, you're about to see the world. And I don't just mean literally, though maybe that too. I mean the world in the fullest sense of the word. The version of life that becomes available to you when you are no longer shrinking to survive it. The version of yourself that gets to show up fully in rooms, not as a performance, not as a strategy, not as an apology, just as you, whole, decided, present. That version of you gets access to things the previous version couldn't even imagine, because the previous version was always half in, half out. Always 1 foot in growth, and 1 foot still reaching back for the familiar. You're both feet in now, and the world can feel it. Let me tell you what's available to you on the other side of this. Not as a promise, as an observation. When you stop leaking energy into every person who wants to test your boundaries, you suddenly have an extraordinary amount of it. When you stop spending mental bandwidth managing other people's comfort with your growth, you discover you have deep reserves of creativity you forgot existed. When you stop editing yourself down for rooms that were never going to appreciate the full version anyway, you start finding the rooms that will. And those rooms, they are different. The conversations are different. The opportunities are different. The pace of your life starts to align with the person you've become, rather than the person everyone wanted you to stay as. Wow. And you almost didn't make it to this version of yourself. Think about how close you came to giving in. Think about the moment, maybe more than one moment, where you almost went back, where the loneliness of the change was so loud you almost traded this clarity for that noise again, where the weight of becoming felt heavier than the weight of staying. Those moments were real. And whatever gave you the strength to stay the course, whether it was something deep in you that refused to betray itself, or a still, quiet voice that reminded you who you were made to be, it worked. You made it to the other side of the fire, and the fire did not destroy you. The fire refined you. Now people are pissed. Ha ha ha. Let them be. You are not responsible for managing the discomfort that other people feel when you grow beyond the version they preferred. You are not the keeper of their expectations. You are not required to slow your evolution because they haven't started theirs. You are not obligated to explain the transformation to the people who were comfortable with the stagnation. Some relationships are built on a power dynamic that only works when you're smaller. Some friendships survive only on the condition that you need them in a specific way. Some rooms only welcome you as long as you don't outgrow the seat. And the hard truth, the one that takes real courage to accept, is that outgrowing those spaces is not a loss. It is a graduation. You graduated. Even when it felt like abandonment, even when it looked like loneliness, even when no one threw a celebration for the version of you that finally chose yourself. And now you are ready for something you were not ready for before. Not because the world changed, because you did. You are ready to walk into your life with a kind of quiet certainty that doesn't need applause. You are ready to build without announcing, to grow without explaining, to succeed without apology, to love without losing yourself, to give without emptying yourself, to exist in this world as the full, unedited, unhurried version of who you actually are, and to let that be enough, not because anyone validated it, because you validated it. Because you looked at everything you survived and everything you became, and you said, yes, this is what I was becoming all along. The world is wide open, and you, for the first time in a long time, are wide open too. So go, not loudly, not with performance, not to prove anything to anyone who doubted you, because they no longer hold that kind of power over your direction. Go because something in you has finally aligned with what you are supposed to be doing. Go because the clarity you earned in the dark is now fully functional in the light. Go because the version of you that survived every season of doubt and silence and rebuilding deserves to experience what is waiting on the other side of all of it. You changed. And that was always the whole point.